Hello, this is Bus Demny eLearning Academy. This video is part of a business academic series of leadership theories. Throughout the video I am going to talk about the situational leadership theory, or the situational leadership model. This model was created by Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard. The situational leadership model created by Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard, developed while working on management of organizational behavior. The theory was first introduced in 1969 as life cycle theory of leadership. The model outlines 4 leadership styles, each corresponding with a specific level of employee development. Surprisingly, the research discovered that there is no one best style. Leaders must adjust their leadership style to the situation as well as to the people being led. Early in the 1980s, Hersey and Blanchard both developed their own slightly divergent versions of the situational leadership theory. The divergent versions are, the Situational Leadership Model, SLT, created by Paul Hersey, and the SLII model offered by Ken Blanchard companies. Ken Blanchard continued to refine the situational leadership model and began to call it situational leadership too. To purists, which adhere to traditional rules or structures, there are important differences between the two models. For most HR professionals and managers, not so much. More recently, the two companies sued each other over the right to use the situational leadership name. It was agreed that after the year 2020, the Center for Leadership Studies would continue to use the situational leadership name, while the Ken Blanchard companies would have to refer to their model as just SLII. You can see some of the differences between the two divergent versions in the visual models. On the left, the situational leadership offered by Paul Hersey's Center for Leadership Studies, and on the right the SLII model offered by the Ken Blanchard companies. Like I said before, to purists, which adhere to traditional rules or structures, there are significant differences between the two models. For most HR professionals and managers, not so much. For this video presentation purpose, I am going to use the SLII model offered by the Ken Blanchard companies. What is the Blanchard model? Unlike other leadership models, the model disregards the idea that corporations require a single approach to leadership. Instead, the model proposes a leadership style that adapts to the unique circumstances of each workplace. By evaluating each employee's ability and experience, leaders can adapt their leadership methods to encourage professional development in their employees. It results in a progression of leadership methods that continuously adapt alongside an employee's professional development. The Blanchard model outlines 4 distinct leadership styles, each corresponding to a specific level of employee development. Those are Directing, S1, Coaching, S2, Supporting, S3, and Delegating, S4. To understand and define the performance readiness of the follower, you determine how competent they are and how committed they are. You can see in the image above that followers move from D1 to D4 classifications as they become fully developed. A situational leader employs one of 4 leadership styles that provide him or her with the highest probability of success in every situation they encounter. Those situations are a function of the task that needs to be performed, in conjunction with the task-related ability and willingness of the follower identified to perform it. The Directing, S1, leadership style. This leadership style is mostly a one-way street with little input from the follower or employee. The S1 leadership style focuses primarily on providing direction to employees. At the S1 stage, followers lack the ability and willingness to complete their tasks, and leaders must clearly define their responsibilities and ensure they develop the foundational skills to be successful. Typical S1 leadership methods include simple instructions, clear explanations, and careful supervision. D1 low competence, low commitment. Generally lacking the specific skills required for the job in hand and lacks any confidence and/or motivation to tackle it. Development levels are also situational. The Coaching, S2, D2. The S2 leadership style provides followers with both direction and personal support. In the S2 stage of development, followers are still unable to perform their tasks but are motivated to succeed. Therefore, leaders should ensure that followers are developing the necessary skills but still maintaining their self-confidence. Ultimately, this results in followers that can take on personal responsibility for their tasks. D2 Some competence, but setbacks have led to low commitment. Followers are unable to complete their tasks, usually due to a lack of skills and experience. However, they are still willing to try and attempt the task. It exemplifies new employees that are motivated to succeed but lack adequate knowledge and ability. The S3 Supporting Leadership Style. The S3 leadership style focuses on supporting followers and less emphasis on providing direction. At the S3 stage, the follower has already developed the necessary skills to complete their tasks. Therefore, the leader should focus on providing feedback and support to motivate the employee and encourage greater development. D3 The competence growing, but the level of commitment varies. Self-reliant achiever. This individual is experienced and skillful but lacks confidence and is overly critical or indifferent. The delegating, S4, leadership style. The S4 leadership style involves minimal direction and support, as the follower is already capable of performing their tasks independently. At the S4 level, the leader should provide support when needed but also provide the follower with autonomy over their responsibilities. D4 is a follower with high competence and high commitment. This individual is experienced and consistently produces quality work, and is also self-assured, self-reliant and may even inspire others. The idea behind situational leadership is that you, the leader, should change your leadership approach to be more or less directive, and more or less supportive, based on the situation. This situation means whether your direct report, i.e., team member, is a competent and committed superstar, or on the other end of the scale, an incompetent who avoids work or effort. Here is one example in the USA of a corporate situational leader. This is well-known and powerful leader, that is, Tim Cook. With the passing of Steve Jobs, Tim Cook became the new CEO of Apple. Little was known about Tim Cook and many people even doubted the man before he even had a chance to introduce himself to the world. Unlike Steve Jobs, Tim Cook does not enjoy being in the spotlight, instead he likes to share it with the innovators themselves. Tim Cook is the face and the leader of Apple. He very much follows the situational leadership theory. The situational leadership theory can be looked at how leaders lead in different situations. The situational approach stresses that leadership is composed of both directive and a supportive dimension, and that each has to be applied appropriately in a given situation. The United States military is an enormous government institution. Here is one example of a USA military situational leader, the late Colin Luther Powell. In 1991, Colin Powell was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under President Bush. Powell became a national figure during the successful Desert Shield and Desert Storm operations which expelled the Iraqi army from Kuwait. He became a celebrated leader for the achievements of these two operations. In 2001, newly elected President George W. Bush appointed Powell to be Secretary of State, but shortly after President Bush's re-election in 2004, Powell announced his intention to step down as Secretary of State. Powell's main weakness, the fact that he was a reluctant diplomat, forced him to step down from this job. Powell was once quoted saying, "Fit no stereotypes. Don't chase the latest management fads. The situation dictates which approach best accomplishes the team's mission." Colin Powell, 1996. This shows that Powell believes there is no one best way to lead a team, but that you must be able to change your style to suit the situation. This, straight away, points in the direction of the situational leadership style. It explains that the best style to use depends on the situation and the skills and capabilities of the team members. The situational leadership pros. Situational leadership is dependent on the scenario at hand and the development level of the individuals concerned. This style allows leaders to meet every scenario that arises as things unfold. It also enables them to bring out the best in their followers and give them the very best likelihood of achieving success. Situational leadership is perhaps the most widely used leadership style in the world. It has gained popularity over the years, particularly because it enhances employee commitment and retention. There is no doubt that different circumstances require different types of management. Situational leadership addresses each worker's ability level and desires, which is useful to delegate responsibilities at a given time to get the job done. Situational leaders can make employees feel comfortable and accepted since their style matches the latter's character. They focus on the circumstances and the people concerned and then consider the scenario to create action plans. Instead of considering all employees as one generic category, they try to understand each employee differently yet equally. Situational leaders employ their style of working as per the situation. Their decisions and actions depend on the maturity level of workers, the complexity of duties, and the needs of the organization. Situational leadership cons. The situational leadership could cause confusion within an organization, as a situational leader may constantly change their approach to address each team or individual's needs. Situational leadership tends to only focus on short-term goals and as a result, may overlook long-term goals. Situational leadership often does not work well when repetitive tasks need to be completed, as this type of leadership is flexible, and many task-driven environments are not. Situational leadership depends on the leader's ability to judge an employee's maturity level. Some leaders are unable to do this effectively and may, therefore, provide a style of leadership that does not suit a particular employee or team. Finally, the major advantage of situational leadership. Situational leadership can create a more comfortable environment for employees as the leadership style implemented will typically match their needs. This type of leadership accounts for the various levels of development in employees and helps to address each employee's skill level and needs. This video is from Bus Demi e-Learning Academy. The owner of Bus Demi e-Learning Academy is a PhD in business management, industry practitioner, and academic university business professor in the USA. Worked more than 20 years in the multinational USA corporation's electronics manufacturing environments, with extensive exposure to global diversity cultural settings overseas experience. Please subscribe to this channel.